Thanks for coming. For you folks that are watching us live online, I'm going to turn this over to Kevin, and he's going to do the introduction, and we'll get this underway. We'll run for about an hour and a half, thereabouts. About 7:30, we'll start to wrap up with those final questions. So again, we are broadcasting live, so anything you say in the background might be picked up by a microphone, just so you know. We said earlier, any swearing or anything that you might say could be picked up, so just be careful what you say. All right, and with that, I'll turn it over to Kevin.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Kevin Diaz with WHCP Cambridge Community Radio. Thank you all again for being here, for tuning in, and for participating. The ground rules are as follows. Each candidate gets a 2-minute opening statement, up to 2 minutes of time to respond to each question, and then a 2-minute closing statement. All 4 candidates have been provided potential questions in advance to prepare for this forum. And now we're going to begin by prior arrangement with Mr. Bramble. Your opening statement, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank everyone for being here tonight. My qualifications, experience, and so forth. I've been in business for 50 plus years. I was county commissioner from 94 to 98. I served on the county council from 2002 to 2006. I was on the Dorchester County Board of Education from 2008 to 2020. I was on the Critical Area Commission from 2004 to 2006. I'm a current associate member of MABE. I've passed MABE Legislative Committee member for 4 years and what I can remember when I served on the board. I'm incoming president of the Cambridge Lions Club, and I've been a member for over 30 years. And I'm also incoming vice president of the South Dorchester Folk Museum, and I serve as well on the board of trustees, of which both of those clubs, all monies raised go back into Dorchester County. Thank you.
And next, Mr. Kramer.
Good evening. Thank everyone for coming. My background, I currently own 3 businesses, Kramer Welding in Hurlock, Maryland. I've been in business 22 years. I also own REK Firearms, which is a training facility, gun shop. We manufacture law enforcement items, different things. And I also own Cabin Creek Properties. As far as my involvement in the community, I am an active member of both Neck District and Hurlock Volunteer Fire Company. I am an active member of the Midshore Dive Team and one of the local search and rescue divers for this area. I also dive for the boat races when we had them in town as a rescue diver. A few of the things I do every year, my business hosts, it's called Dorchester Top Shot for Patriot Point. It's a big fundraiser we do it's a veterans retreat. Last year we had over 300 people there and managed to generate them a little over $17,000. And I'm also the originator of the Cambridge Main Street Boat Drop as well. Myself and another gentleman own that. I'm trying to, this is my first time ever getting into politics, and I just want to approach it with a common sense approach and do away with, a few things that have been going on.
Thank you. Mr. Newcomb is next.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming. Gene Newcomb, been a Dorchester County resident all my life. Matter of fact, me 62 years Thursday. So currently on the council. I've served 16 years on the council. Very active in the community throughout the years. Church Creek Volunteer Fire Company for over 40 years. Chief for 11 years. I used to coach the youth soccer league. I served the Dorchester County Central Committee, the election board. I was the manager of A.E. Phillips's at Hooper's Island for 27 years, and then opened up Old Salty's Seafood, which is my crab picking operation. Also had Old Salty's Restaurant for 18 and a half years, and the school bus contractor for, been driving now for over 40 years. My grandfather had it, and my mother, she drove 50 years, and I continued to have the school bus contract. Just so thankful to be able to serve in the county. It's sure not the money. It's a lot of aggravation, but you feel like you do a lot of good to the community with the roads, the ditches, mosquitoes. Gentlemen, you all know that's the biggest district in the county. All the fire companies and all the ditches and Hooper Island Air Force for mosquitoes. They're giving us a fit right now, but we need to spray this week. So, yep. And I had Hodgkin's like 38 years, Hodgkin non-lymphoma. So thank the good Lord, He's kept me here. So I just feel it's a way to give back to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Satterfield is next, please.
Good evening. Thank you for being here. I'm Don Satterfield, an Army veteran who was born here in Cambridge Hospital. I'm a Republican candidate for County Council District 1. I bring years of experience to the council, having served with the county as an employee, a supervisor, a manager, and a department head, working with the Sheriff's Office as Chief Jailer and Warden, the Department of Corrections as the Chief of Operations and Warden, Department of Public Works as the airport manager. I manage millions of dollars in grants and understand the county budget process from both sides of the council table. Having served on the county council member, I understand the importance of communicating and working closely with our federal, state, and local partners, working within the legislative process to obtain funds for our local projects. Having an open door policy and communicating to the county seat, the city of Cambridge, and all of our municipalities foster a good working relationship. These relationships help to eliminate redundancy and reduce operational costs, thereby helping to save tax dollars. The same is true of our law enforcement, fire companies, school board, and Chamber of Commerce. Communication solves situations before they become unmanageable problems and save precious tax dollars. Having a strong management team, the county manager, department heads, and senior staff promote county ideals and manage growth and preserve our tax money. I look forward to working with the citizens of District 1 and all of Dorchester County as your next county council member. I served in the Army as a helicopter crew chief in the Maryland Army National Guard as a military policeman for over 37 years, retiring as a command sergeant major. It's a point that only 1% of soldiers who pass through the Army make it to command sergeant major. As I stated, I have looked forward to and have worked in various positions and retiring from the county. I spent several years with the American Cancer Society in jail and bail, and served as a rescue fire company president and many other local community events. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Satterfield. And since you're holding the mic, I think we will you'll have you take the first question, and then we'll move the mic around. Please describe 3 ways to increase revenues for the county that you would like to implement during the next 4 years. Now, Mr. Satterfield, you'll go first next time.
There's a great expense in personnel turnover. Having to train and equip new employees is costly. We must create an atmosphere within the county to retain employees and department heads. We should place county-owned properties back on the tax rolls. As we currently have over 24 properties on the books, on the council last term, we placed almost all county-owned properties back on the tax rolls. This increased our county tax revenue and also reduced the cost of spending taxpayers' money to maintain these properties. We must review our current spending practices and spend on projects and services that we need, not those we want. This would include police, fire companies, EMS personnel and equipment, updates, 911, and our roads and our schools. We must work and communicate with our federal and state partners to assist the county with their current and future projects.
Thank you. You'll take it then. Yes, yes. For Mr. Bramble, please.
Well, first, I'd like to enable our prospective workforce and train current folks who want a job career to fill the void that currently exists in this county. Our current VOTEC needs to be utilized more by getting the students to participate more. There's a great demand for various trades in this county. Job openings have and are currently available, which will attract more businesses. More businesses means more revenue. So that's how my position on that.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Kramer is next.
I agree with what Mr. Bramble said as far as, yes, we do need more businesses. Manufacturing exclusively. Coming from someone, I have looked for 2 more welders for over a year and they're just non-existent around here. So yes. Also channel energy on what we have to offer, not as far as the tourism side, the hunting, the fishing, the waterways, Blackwater Refuge. I mean, that appeals to a lot of people. Yeah, other than that, just, businesses and manufacturing, the more taxpayers we have in this county, the more revenue that comes in. It's pretty common sense.
Thank you very much. Mr. Newcomb.
Yes, the school technology, I was made to finally decide whether that school to me is underutilized. There's so many people, HVAC, electrical, welders, cannot find nobody. There's no reason that school's not being utilized a lot more. That would help create jobs. Tourism, everybody loves coming to Dorchester County with tourism. So many people are out 50 that realize what was out in the outlying areas, the refuge, the hunting, the fishing. Another thing is we now have a lot of rentals. We need to try to get a company now to our resources. Mike Spears, working on to get the rentals from all these people that rent houses. Take that money and put it back in tourism. That's what we're so great for. That money should go back in tourism, not to the general budget to help promote this county. And our farmers and our watermen, they are on our seal. They are a backbone of this county. We need to keep them going with the farming and the seafood industry. Another thing, they holler it's not a county problem, but it's a city problem with all the crime in Cambridge. That has deferred so many people. I hear it all the time. So that needs to be addressed. They holler, well, that's a city problem. No, it's a Dorchester County problem too, because City of Cambridge is in Dorchester County in the state of Maryland. So we need to do something with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newcomb. And because you're the last to get the first question, we'll toss the first one to you. And if you could hold the mic just a little bit farther away from your mouth. The county has received in excess of $3 million in Federal American Rescue Plan Act dollars, ARPA dollars, they call them, so far, and we'll soon be getting an additional distribution for a similar amount. What do you propose we spend or allocate those funds with?
So far with the money, $400,000 went to the upgrade of the Bodybrook water system. It's been failing for so many years. They got several grants. But it was every time you put it out to bid, it would become a lot bigger project and a lot more money. So they were down to last little over 400,000. So we took that to help get that done. The next thing is we used $1.2 million we put out for broadband in Dorchester County. With that, giving it to like two or three different companies, the state and federal government, they will get a $12 million match. So that's really going to help with that last mile out in the outlying areas. And also the health department. Our health department is very bad shape. The building needs renovations, replace it or something, but it's so congested in there. We really found out during COVID how bad that building was.
Thank you, Mr. Satterfield.
The American Rescue Plan funds are available in a variety to a variety of projects and must be used by 2024. I propose that we use the funds to address our failing septic systems and water systems throughout the county, specifically in District 1. Expansion of the sanitary district to serve all areas of the southern part of the county would improve our water quality. We should expand our broadband service to every inch of Dorchester County. If we have learned nothing else from the pandemic, it is being able to communicate is a key to success. Our students, teachers, small and large businesses deserve our assistance in providing the best communication system available. Our law enforcement and emergency service personnel must be able to communicate during normal and certainly emergency situations. Our citizens' lives may depend on the radio, phone, or computer working. In these trying times, I hate to say that simply must harden and improve our school security systems. Our children, teachers, and school personnel must have the ability to learn and teach and work in a safe environment. I would task the council to work to approve and use these funds for as many authorized projects as possible prior to 2024. I also believe that the health department is of great need. We're about to lose programs because the money is simply not there to support them and help our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Satterfield. And we're going to move the mic all the way across back to Mr. Bramble.
Okay, needless to say, I had to do some Googling, for lack of a better word, to understand all the criteria on the ARPA. So the federal government established actually broad criteria for this use for the ARPA funds. Expand or backfill court operations, justice programs, expand access to housing, needing investments in water, as some has already described, sewer, broadband infrastructure. That's just to name a few. Personally, I like to see our county roads fixed. I like to see more deputies assigned to every school. And I like to see the EMS and the mental health expanded just as a start. But that's my thoughts on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kramer, you're up.
Same question.
Same question, yes. On ARPA funding.
First and foremost, infrastructure. There are a lot of roads, ditches, culverts that have been in dire needs for years. Secondly, give some of the money to the local fire companies. I mean, if you ever go through a house fire, that's going to be one of the most traumatic things in your life. And you're relying on volunteers and a 20-year-old piece of equipment. I mean, them guys can use all of the help that they can absolutely get. Third, the VOTEC Center. Like what Jay said earlier, there's jobs out there and we need to train young guys, to do those jobs other than going to college. Other than that, like I said, the main thing is infrastructure and getting our roads and ditches fixed. Thank you.
Okay, and while you've got the mic, we'll give you the next question, a first shot at it. What are your thoughts on the charter amendments that are being pursued by the Dorchester Charter Change Commission regarding transparency, including online and video access to county council meetings?
I personally think they should have it for the simple fact, I mean, face it, all of us here eventually, if we get the job, are going to be working for the taxpayers. So, why shouldn't they know what's going on, from a meeting to meeting basis?
Fair enough. Mr. Newcomb.
I'm not against the streamline all, but the problem is we do not have good internet. And there's we need to get internet first in order to have the streamlining. The city Cambridge can get it, but the people in District 1, so many people, so they try to watch the Board of Education, they try to watch the city meetings, they do just not have good internet. So hopefully with this money, this $12 million, we will soon get internet out in the county to help with the internet so we can have a good live streaming. The overall charter, yes, it's, did you want that combined, both questions, not only the?
We'll take them separately. We can talk about
Okay,
the other
all
one
right.
next. Mr. Satterfield, please.
I agree with the charter amendment. I have signed the petition and helped to gain other signatures. I strongly support open access to regular and special meetings of the county council. The public has a right to know what the council is approving or disapproving and how the council spends taxpayer dollars. Citizens should have access to the same information at the same time the council has in order to participate in the process. Currently, citizens with disabilities have limited or no access to meeting materials. Citizens should demand access to the county, and the council should encourage citizens to participate prior to any important vote that would impact the county's future. As a councilman, I would promote and encourage open access for all citizens and with our fellow council members.
Thank you, sir. I believe Mr. Bramble is next on that question of the first charter question regarding open access and video streaming and online access.
My answer is really short and sweet. Totally agree in the charter amendments.
Thank you. We appreciate your brevity, sir. Why don't we throw the next part of the charter question to you then, beginning with the question about the county manager. What are your thoughts on the charter question regarding the county manager position, which is being pursued by the Dorchester Charter Change Commission?
Short and sweet. Once again, I totally agree on the charter amendments. However, I would like to say, and I understand from powers to be, that it wouldn't work, that you could have, we'll say, all 5 board members to have to agree, and if not, if that wouldn't happen, maybe 4. But let's face it, 3 members of the board can run the whole county by the votes. That's all it takes is 3. So again, I'll go back to the other, talking to the ones that started this here. I totally agree with the charter amendments.
Mr. Kramer, please.
I also agree with the charter amendments. Yeah, it should be monitored by the county council. And I mean, other than that, as long as the person is local and has the county's interest at best, I don't have an issue with it.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
Other thing I have with that, I wish they'd come to the council. Somebody has a problem, seems like it's like a personal agenda with some of these things. They should come before the council and we can explain. They do not know everything about that charter. It's a personal agenda. I'm sorry to say, but that's the way it is. We've been open meetings. All the meetings are open. We send out agendas. Anybody call, let's copy the stuff. We send it to them. It's free information to anybody other than personnel. So maybe shaking her head, but it is all open meeting. So, and like I say, we have just wish they'd come. If not, didn't have to speak to council, go see Mr. Tommy Merriweather. He knows that charter. The charter's been here now for 20 years. So it needs some little bit changes, but I think should be to set a committee to sit down and review it versus just try to get a petition up. To me, that's not the way to have good work in government. We should work as a team, not against each other.
And Mr. Satterfield.
Once again, I agree with the charter amendment. I have signed the petition and I've helped gain other signatures. The county manager position should be filled immediately with the best, the brightest, and the most qualified person. The manager should have the responsibility of the day-to-day operations of the county and authority to manage all department heads and personnel issues. Once a review has been completed of any personnel issues, then the council should be advised by the county manager. The county personnel handbook outlines the procedures to include timelines and actions to be taken on all personnel grievances and issues. The handbook is past due a complete review and to ensure the county meets all legal and employment requirements.
And Mr. Satterfield, while you've got the mic, you'll take a shot at the next very related question, sort of a follow-up question to the last one we've been discussing. What do you think is the cause of the large and unusual turnover in department heads in the county in recent years, and how would you address it?
It's a bad situation. I can start with that. Dorchester County has lost some of the best and brightest to other counties and jobs. If you conduct a review of the people we have lost, and I have, they are very successful in their new job with many receiving promotions and pay raises in other locations in other counties. Not all of our resignations were about salaries. They were about supervision, management, and leadership, or in some cases, the lack of. Our high termination rate was not about performance of duties, but about personalities and demands placed on them. A full-time, highly qualified county manager should have the responsibility to manage department personnel matters and report to the council with personal recommendations. I truly believe that department heads should no longer work at the pleasure of the county council and would take personal feelings out of the situation.
Okay, thank you for that. I believe Mr. Bramble gets the next shot at this question, again, concerning the personnel issues at the county level.
Excuse me. Salaries are part of this, but I also believe wholeheartedly that micromanagement is playing a major role in this county. My sources tell me that from 4 years ago to date, all department heads have been gone, replaced, however you want to call it. So that being said, you've asked a question, how do you plan to address this if elected? You let the county manager do his or her job. Their job is the day-to-day operations, not the boards. And they oversee all the department heads. And any questions that arise, you report that to the board. That's how I feel about it.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Kramer, you're next.
I personally think that we need to let the department heads do their job. Yes, we do need a county manager, obviously, to oversee the department heads. And the county managers, if there's any issues, concerns, whatever the scenario might be, comes to the council with them. I mean, it's the same thing. It's all pretty simple business, but I don't know. Just like I said, let the people we hire do their jobs.
Thank you, Mr. Newcomb.
Yes, Claire, we have lost a lot of departments, a lot of employees. A lot of them have gone for more money. And we had a very older, many year service of employees. We've lost, I mean, I'm not going to mention names because this is all personnel. We've lost a lot of good employees, but after COVID, they got the years of service in. They decided to move on or relocate to other locations. All of them, very few were terminated by the council, only 2 or 3. A lot of them left on their own behalf. No, where you all get your information, but personnel really shouldn't be talked about. But anybody can tell you their side of the story. But all of this is not true as far as a lot of them left. Our biggest thing is money. We've got so many openings now, we cannot fill the jobs. We got paramedics, we got dispatchers, we got highway people. We had a job fair 3 days, about 3 weeks ago. We had neither person walk in the room to fill out an application, not a single soul beside county employees. So it's not the micromanaging. The county manager, they run the department heads. It comes back to us. But it just seems funny, years ago, one of the previous boards seemed like everything was 3-2 vote, 3-2 vote. It was not an issue. But now it's always an issue, but it's not always 3-2 vote. We've done some research. There was more 3-2 votes in previous council than it has been with this council.
Thanks, Mr. Newcomb. We'll also give you the next question first, which is, again, related. Please describe your understanding of the current state of our Emergency Medical Services Division and what you would like to see change, if anything.
Ms. Dozier, she is a great employee. She has so much knowledge. She works so much training. She teaches all out throughout the state of Maryland. She has so many years' experience. But the problem is pay. We've been trying to get the salaries up on our paramedics. And another thing, by this hospital relocating, most of our transports now have to go to Easton or Salisbury. If you listen to that radio, it's burning our paramedics out. They're going on a call instead of a half-hour, 45-minute call. It's 2 and 3 hours. They sit over to the hospital, wait to get unloaded, sometimes an hour and a half just to find a bed for the patient. Our people are just getting burnt out in our salaries. Talbot County now, they have gone with a better retirement and the salaries. We try to get them up. We can't compete with Queen Anne and Caroline and these other counties. They have so much more tax revenue. We have so much land, but ours is farming and marshland and the refuge. We don't get a whole lot of tax money. We get our money 2 ways, tax revenue and income tax. And our income tax is not that great in this county compared to Talbot County. And our tax base is not like Talbot County. So our revenue is job to find and keep good workers. We had some paramedics leave. They seen it was better, the grass was green, but he came back. So it's not always the pay, but it is a big player in this and retirement. I think Talbot County is going to go to a 25-year retirement like the police. So that's going to be another downfall trying to keep staff here.
Thank you, Mr. Newcomb. Mr. Satterfield, you're next.
The current Emergency Services Department is on life support. Luckily, we still have a few outstanding employees holding down the fort, and as they are burning out fast and with so many openings. When a person goes to work and they're working 18 and 20 hours, it doesn't take long before, especially in emergency circumstances, where they're just beat. We need a full-time department head on the ground every day. We continue to lose highly skilled personnel to other counties, and it is not all about salaries, but rather supervision and management. There has been no exit interviews with anyone leaving EMS, 911, or the medical units. How can we possibly improve working conditions if no one is willing to ask why people are leaving? I will recommend a complete review of the Emergency Medical Services Department in an effort to understand the exact problems and make immediate changes if necessary. The citizens of Dorchester County deserve the best emergency response and services possible.
Thank you, Mr. Satterfield. And Mr. Bramble, you're up.
I think you jumped ahead to question number 15.
Well, let's dispense with this question first, and then we can discuss that. Here, you take the microphone, please. The question is about the Emergency Medical Services
Okay.
Division.
They are there for the county, as all of us should know, in time of need from anyone and for everyone. Let them do their job as they were hard for. Any problem? I'm going to go back to it again. Go to the county manager. That's his or her job. You don't go to the board or board members. They should have make that decision and contact, if there's any questions, again, the county manager, which is there supposed to be all during working hours and after hours as well. Thank you.
Mr. Kramer?
Question 15.
The question is about your understanding of the state of the Emergency Medical Services Division and what you'd like to change, if anything.
I personally know quite a few paramedics in this county, and yes, they are burned out. They need help. They need a better retirement, and we need more of them. Losing the hospital in Cambridge was a slap in our face that, as Jay said, has increased the transport times tremendously. It's making them work over and everything else. And it needs to start with paychecks and incentives and go from there.
Fair enough. We'll go to the next question. There seemed to be some interest in skipping straight ahead to the question about the Sheriff's Department. Apparently, some of you think it's connected. So the question is this, and I'll let you go first, Mr.
Okay.
Kramer. The County Council recently voted on pay increases for the Sheriff Department staff, but excluded the deputies that guard the courthouse. What are your thoughts on that decision?
They should have gotten a raise along with everyone else.
Short and sweet. Thank you. Mr. Newcomb?
Everyone did get a raise. All the deputies, all county employees got a raise, but we put emphasis on the on-road deputies. Right now, we have no openings on deputy. Thank goodness they're all filled, but we all have a shortage of paramedics and dispatchers. So we try to get all those salaries up for the online. But everyone in the county did get a significant raise. We've adjusted the deputies and a lot of other shortfall of our departments.
Mr. Satterfield, please.
The budget process has worked for years with department heads making recommendations to the county finance officer and the county council for pay raises. Now, for the past 3 years, individual employees have been singled out for a pay raise, with others receiving very little or nothing. In the case of the deputy sheriff is a deputy sheriff. Regardless of their assignment, a deputy must complete the same training, weapons qualification, in-service training as mandated by the Police and Correctional Training Commission. This type of decision places stress on the employees and the supervisors and creates an inconsistent message as to the value of personnel. I do not approve of such actions for any department.
Thank you. And now for Mr. Bramble, you wanted to take a shot at this, I believe. You've got the mic.
Obviously, I also disagree with that action. I know a lot of deputies and law enforcement and all agencies around this county, and all deputies are available in time of need, regardless of where the sheriff posts those folks. That includes the SROs that's in our school system as well. Any and all deputies have the same training and capable of performing that. So to me, that's discrimination, but by holding back their salary as well. It should go by seniority and rank and so forth, the way it used to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bramble. And we'll give you a shot at the next question first.
Which one is that?
This is, I don't know what your number is, but for me, it's number 7. How do you see yourself as a defender of property rights? And how does that relate to things like renewable energy, tidal rise, rails to trails, et cetera?
I agree that property owners are entitled to those rights. However, the zoning codes you need to abide by, including the HOA guidelines as well. One needs to review the property before they purchase it and review all codes. I might add, stay on top of all the zoning changes that are passed by the city, county, state, and federal. I had the privilege to sit on the Critical Areas Commission 2004, 2006, I believe were the dates. And they pretty much regulate what the state of Maryland's going to do, and most particularly, it seemed like Dorchester County. And what and where you can build and how far back and so forth, which is all passed down to our county zoning department. So that would be my thoughts on that.
Thank you, Mr. Bramble. Mr. Kramer?
I think we need to ease up on the building permit process. From someone who's directly involved in construction, planning and zoning is probably one of the most hated organizations in Dorchester County when it comes to contractors. Other than that, I mean, it's your property. Let them do what they want. Yes, there has to be regulations and guidelines, but it should not take the time consuming, the money, or the process just because you want to do a renovation on something you want.
Fair enough. Thank you. Mr. Newcomb?
Yes, the planning and zoning, but it's not always the planning and zoning. The health department is the one that holds up most application more than anything else, the health department. All the agencies have to sign off, the critical areas. Glenn, you served on that board. I know people have lots, especially the next district, that had them years ago. Now they can't build on them because the laws have changed over the years and they haven't kept up with the regulations, and they should have started permit or done something. So it's not always the county. I mean, the state, we have so many state mandates. The sprinkler system, it's good for like in the city, but people out of the county, I mean, like El Dorado Firehouse, $250,000 to put sprinkler system in their building. So it's a lot of restriction that is not not county. It's state unfunded mandates.
Thank you. Mr. Satterfield is next.
I also served on the Maryland Chesapeake Bay Critical Areas Commission last term. I don't see an easy answer for this, in all honesty. I believe property owners should have the right to decide what is best for their property within the zoning laws and regulations. All property issues should be handled on a case-by-case basis with similar issues of the same for each person. Don't do one thing for one person and something else different for the next door neighbor. Consistency is the most important piece of this. Planning and zoning has a responsibility for approving permits and should do so in a timely manner. Growth should be managed to move the county forward. I also understand that the health department does play a part in this. There are other agencies, but if we take the time to negotiate and talk and have an open forum with these other agencies, we can work out these differences in time lapse. It's that simple. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Satterfield. And you're first on the next question. What is your understanding of what is your understanding of affordable workforce housing, and would you support additional development and tax incentives for the creation and or redevelopment of affordable workforce housing?
Thank you. First off, we don't want to confuse affordable housing, workforce housing, with low income housing. It is much different. There are many benefits to having adequate affordable housing for our working families located in the community. Workforce housing allows critical community workers and emergency responders to live in the same communities in which they work. Nurses, police officers, fire personnel, and teachers would be an example. Beginning salary for these people are lower. They cannot afford to be involved in buying expensive homes. So there has to be an offset that we must work on. I understand we have an issue with affordable housing here in Dorchester, and I support a review of housing issues and incentives to make it better for the young people to be able to work and live and pay taxes in our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Satterfield. If we can run the microphone, please, down to Mr. Bramble. Thank you.
Thank you. With the rising cost of building supplies and cost of new homes, including rentals as well, helping on the permits required could help. The county doesn't have, in my opinion, the funds to do otherwise. Currently, there are such being built right around the county. In my opinion, that's a private and it's a state issue, not the county. If the county can help to intervene in terms of having builders or developers, I should say, access to do some low interest money, that's one thing, but not be responsible for that part. I was looking at Dorchester County on the medium income rates number 18 in the state of Maryland. So it's kind of surprising when I look why Comico County is actually a little lower than us. But when you look at Worcester County, it's way up there. Of course, Somerset's at pretty much at the bottom, unfortunately, as well. So that's something there that it's been. And when you go looking at cost of houses here, I'm semi-retired. I still do a lot of designing, drawing plans and so forth. And no, I'm not advertising for that. But I can tell you right now what the cost of materials are, and finding someone to build it is not just a problem in this county, it's all over. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bramble. Mr. Kramer.
I think as far as the county's involvement, we shouldn't be. I mean, yes, we could give them a tax incentive. I mean, I get it. Things are expensive, but that's, life. Everything's expensive nowadays. Yes, we could offer them like a tax incentive if they wanted to work here, as long as they were employed. Other than that, that's something I personally think the county needs to stay away from. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer. Mr. Newcomb.
As far as the housing, we do try to put lots we get from the tax sale back to Habitat for Humanity. They take the lots, build some nice houses to help people get started at a decent price. But as far as the subsidized housing, we have enough of that in this county, because along with it brings lower test scores and the crime, and we do not need all that. We need our schools. Our test scores are not very good. We're almost to the bottom on test scores in this county. So we need to address the school situation, watch what comes here. But we do waive the tax incentive for the sprinkler system and impact fees to try to help give you a little incentive to help build a house in our county.
Thank you, Mr. Newcomb. Would you take the first crack at the next question, which is this? What long-term solutions do you see to better protect Dorchester County and surrounding areas from the increased threat of climate change and flooding?
We just finished a couple studies as far as for Hooper's Island and down for the Neck District that the sea rise is rising. So now once we've got this study done, everybody wants a study, but they both have been done. So hopefully we could get some federal and state money to help save those areas. Because if you see they are really being flooded more often than ever before. The watermen, the farmers, that's something we need to save. And so we only have so much farmland. And once this farmland's used up, where's our people going to get the food to eat? So we need to, and the watermen, they want to make all these restrictions on the watermen. So our main thing is watermen, our farmers, and our land to protect what we have.
Thank you, Mr. Newcomb. Mr. Satterfield.
I support any and all assistance from our federal and state agencies to provide Dorchester with scientific information and current recommendations to address these issues. That means we must have a better relationship with those agencies. We must communicate better with federal, state representatives for assistance in this area. Blackwater Wildlife has been working to address many of these issues, and we should be working closely with them. It is vitally important to address these issues and the impact they will have on our waterman and farming community and the citizens in general of Dorchester County in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Satterfield. And once again, if we can run that microphone over to your right. Mr. Bramble, please.
Well, to be forthright, it's beyond our control other than requiring new home construction and additions to continue the elevation heights and setbacks set forth by, might add, the county, state, and federal government, more so the state and federal governments. I was born and raised in the lower part of the county of Bishop's Head. The only way I could go other than maybe 5 miles farther was get in a boat and go over to Bloodworth Island. So Bishop's Head is actually the farthest you can go in Dorchester County. And growing up there, I have seen myself in my 73 years that good Lord's given me on this earth, the change. Far as what we can do on the climate, I don't necessarily want to go there tonight, other than we do our very best in terms of the building parts and advise people. But if it's their property and they want to take the risk onto it, as long as they have the height there, that's up to them. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bramble. Mr. Kramer?
Ease up on the process as far as what it takes to preserve your own shoreline. As far as if they want to riprap it, if they want to put a bulkhead in or whatever, let them do it. They're preserving their land. Also, reach out to the state and the feds on some key areas. Get some water breaks put in to prevent it from going any farther. I mean, that's about it. Like Glenn said, there's nothing we can do about climate change. We live on a peninsula. It's just something we're all going to have to deal with.
Fair enough. Thank you. And you get the next question first, which is, how do you plan, if elected, to involve residents in the decision-making process of our county?
Fairly simple. General communication. I mean, have discussion forums, televise it. And I mean, heck, everyone with communications technology these days, between cell phones, internet, email, etc., it should not be any issue to get hold of any of us as far as their concerns.
Thank you very much. Mr. Newcomb, you're next.
Yes, our agenda, once it's approved by the county manager, it goes out to all the constituents that wants to be on the mailing list. All you have to do is contact the office, and they will send it out to you when it goes out every, I think it's on Monday morning after 10 o'clock. After she finalizes, it goes out. If there's anything that you have an interest to, you want to see, we give us information. The council members, if it's something, I've called a lot of people, let them know this is on the agenda. You may want to send some of your people, your friends, or whatever, know this may address your area, your community. So we just need to be, but we're open. I mean, we had every meeting, our office was open for every meeting, all the way through even COVID. It was open. A lot of people called by phone. The phone was not a good system, but it did help give people a little bit of information. But say it's been open, and the agenda is open to anybody that's interested. And at our meetings, we let people get involved. A lot of counties do not let the public get involved during a council meeting. If you have something, a question or concern before a meeting, then we let you get involved.
Thank you, Mr. Newcomb. Mr. Satterfield.
Open access to all county information in meeting is a key to involving citizens in our government. Providing meeting information on all available media is the responsibility of, in this case, the council's office. County council, last term, you received a USB on Friday morning for your Tuesday night meeting, or a few days in advance of any special meeting. At the same time that USB is given out to council members, the public should be informed of what's involved in the next meeting. And they should have access so that they have the same ability to participate and ask questions as we have, so that you can reach out to the people who work in those fields for a living to determine whether a vote on Tuesday night or at a special meeting would impact them if you voted yes or no. It's important to know those things. They do that for a living. I don't believe that any person elected at any level, once they raise their hand and take an oath, becomes all-knowing. Information has to be shared and asked. All citizens have the right to participate in their government if they choose to do so, and I encourage all to do just that.
Thank you, Mr. Satterfield. Mr. Bramble, you're next on this question.
The question was, how do you plan
Oh, take the microphone, please.
Your question was, again, how you plan to involve residents in decision-making?
Correct.
Okay. My answer to that is very simple. Any decision made by the county that involves their property, livelihoods, and families should be posted and an open meeting for questions and answers before the vote is cast. Short and sweet.
Thank you, Mr. Bramble. Since you were so short and sweet, we'll give you the first question next.
Okay.
You're still up. The spotlight's still on you. Describe 3 key issues you are addressing in your campaign and why they are important to this community.
Well, I actually have more than 3, but
The top 3.
The top 3 are obviously school safety, and capital goes along with school school safety, it comes capital improvements. Definitely the sheriff's department and the EMS. But I'm going to throw number 4 in there regardless, because I think I still got some time here. And that is, again, the Dorchester County Highway Department and fire companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bramble. Mr. Kramer?
Okay, first and foremost, fire, EMS, and the sheriff's office. We need more paramedics. We need more sheriff's deputies. The fire companies need help. Second, building permits. There's a lot of people who want to do a lot of stuff in this county and just are deterred because of the whole process, because of what planning and zoning puts them through. Another one, there's a lot of, in the past, big construction going on around here. Hire local contractors. There's a ton of talent in this town. Take advantage of it. Another thing, hire local vendors. Don't outsource it. I personally was at a Board of Appeals meeting a while back. I have no idea who their attorney is or the one that we hired, but it was a total embarrassment to us. To me, that's unacceptable. The county can do better. That's it.
Fair enough. Thank you, Mr. Newcomb.
Jobs and tourism, and yes, Mr. Kramer, it's, you talk about the attorney, we put an RFP, they put an RFP, and we don't have a lot of attorneys that wants to tackle that in this county, unfortunately. We don't have a lot of legal base. They had to get one from out of county, but that's through the planning and zoning. The schools, yes, Glenn, we should try to protect our students. I mean, what happened last weekend, I just hope it never, ever happens to us. So, but tourism and jobs and a quality of life that so many people come to this county for, we must also protect the planning and zoning said the last couple of years, you wouldn't believe how many people have just went out and built and additions without permit, just done it on their own. So they are busy just trying to get people to be in compliance.
Thank you. Mr. Satterfield, please.
There are currently many issues facing the county. School issues, the new programs and things that are going to be required of our schools, and the money that it's going to cost the county. With about a $78 million budget for the county, at present, about $22 million of it goes right out to the school boards. And the county council, unfortunately, has no authority or have the ability to make any changes in that money once it's given to the school board. I see the need for a full-time county manager to run the day-to-day operations. A manager, once again, should have authority over department heads to deal with personnel issues. That's a big thing. Turnover of personnel. A deputy sheriff who leaves the county with all of his knowledge of the roads and the conditions, responding to incidents of certain people and situations, and you lose that talent, and you're starting over with a brand new deputy who responds to a house and a domestic and has no idea what he's about to deal with until he gets there. Heaven forbid that you would be the same person responding and not knowing what you're getting into. In this day and time, it is difficult to keep talent and train them to understand the nuances of our county, the distances that you must travel from Elliot's Island to Hudson. That alone would be a difficult time frame to respond to an emergency. We need more deputies to be able to do that. Better communications with our federal, state partners and representative and our local municipalities. The need for a monthly meeting with the Board of Education and the Chamber of Commerce and the City of Cambridge would help us to be successful.
Mr. Satterfield, since you've got the next question first, you already mentioned the school board, the importance of the school board, and how a significant chunk of the county budget goes into the schools. Let's go to this. Describe the ideal working relationship between the county school board and the county council. What do you believe would result from that working relationship?
Truth is, the previous council met with the school board once a month to discuss issues that related to the schools. Through these meetings, we worked out small things that were of benefit to the school board and the county. This provided both parties with the open door access more than just once a year at budget time. I strongly support meetings with the school board. I strongly support school security, and our students and teachers deserve a safe place to learn and teach.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Bramble will get that question next, please.
Thank you. When I was serving on the school board, we actually had monthly meetings with 2 members of the board and 2 members of the county council. We did keep each other advised of our concerns and ways to work together to thus developing a stronger bond and motivation for staying focused towards common communication development. Unfortunately, we had one county council person always present, but a lot of times there we didn't have the second one, and it was always the same 2. And they did an excellent job. So it would have been nice if we had it, but we did do a lot of soul searching, for lack of better words, and explain each one. The county, we're talking about this county school board budget. As I said earlier, the county makes up 1/3 of the school board's budgets, another third from the state, and the other third from the federal. But the school board itself, and I was a member for 12 years, all we do is set policy and do the budget. And I can tell you in the last 3 years, or maybe more, I can't remember now, myself and Phil Rice sat on the finance committee, and we had to abide by our budget and do our best to keep all the staff and teachers and books and everything else in line. And that helped a lot. And we worked real well at that time with the county council members, at least way some of them anyway. So that's the way it should be. COVID kind of interfered all that in the last year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kramer, you're next. Again, improving the relationship between the county council and the school board.
Let the department heads do their job. I mean, they were hired to do it, let it do it. And, simple, once a month, report to the county council, any concerns, what needs to be improved, and we'll handle it on a case-by-case basis.
Fair enough. Thank you. And Mr. Newcomb?
The current council still has a policy to affect 2 board members, 2 council members to have monthly meetings. But the last several months, the school board has council meetings. The last day they've said we have something else or whatever. For some reason, they have not had, I think, the last at least 2, maybe 3 monthly meetings. So it's a school board. It's back in their field. We still got them scheduled. You go in our office, you see it up on the board. It's got the date. It's all preset. So it's that. The city council, we've been trying to set up a meeting with the city of Cambridge. I know they've had a lot of issues, and then with the new manager, but we're waiting to get a meet with the city, and they also meet with the town of Hurlock and any other township. But they are on schedule, but it just hasn't become reality.
Thank you, Mr. Newcomb. And the next question is yours to go first. How important do you feel it is, and some of you have touched on this already, how important do you feel it is to have a strong working relationship with state and federal legislators and their staffs, and why?
Well, that's, as you all know, it's where a lot of money comes from, federal, state, it's handed down. So we have very good working relationship with all the federal and state delegation. I am sad to say that Miss Melissa Kelly, she's going to be moving on. She's taking another job. She was great for Dorchester County. So she's being promoted. We're a federal with Mr. Harris and all. They sent a representative. They attend our meetings, so they're very much involved. And we're very thankful to have a good work relationship with the federal, and they have gotten a lot of money and programs down through Dorchester County.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Satterfield, please.
I believe a strong relationship with the state and federal partners is vitally important. Having access to legislative bills that impact our way of life is a must. to support the ones that will help us, and to defeat the ones that make life difficult. This is especially true of our watermen and farmers. Currently, we have no or very little working relationship with our federal, state, and local municipalities. If you have a conversation with people from the state, they will tell you it is difficult to reach out to get anyone to respond from Dorchester County. That's what I've been told. Currently, these are the agencies that that assist us with funding for our many county projects. If we fail to communicate with these agencies, we miss out on funding opportunities that will most likely go to other counties and municipalities.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Bramble is next on this question, the federal and state relationship.
I believe, like most people would feel, that it is vital. There's no question about it. With mandating regular communications in meetings, the county needs to be made abreast of the bills that's introduced and how it may affect our county. When I say our county, I'm talking about watermen, farmers, every business that it is there, and particularly we're watermen and farmers. So, and the only way you can do that is communication. And I learned that long time ago. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bramble. Mr. Kramer, you're next on this
Yes,
question.
I also agree that we should have direct involvement with them, but it also is contingent on their sincerity. Don't show up just because you want to shake hands, kiss babies, get a vote, and never to be seen and heard from again. I personally know Andy. Andy's, my opinion, did a phenomenal job for this county. And as Glenn said earlier, yes, there's a lot of things that have been going on with the agriculture, with the waterman community around here that a lot of people in the county don't know about. And yeah, we do need to stay informed.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer. You also get the next question. I think we'll segue into, there's a question about how the council should be interacting with and supporting county municipalities. Obviously, Cambridge is a big county municipality. Can you talk a little bit about the county's relationship to the city? Some of you talked about revenue sources. Obviously, the city is a revenue generator for this county. How should the county be working better with the city?
We need to get control of the crime in Cambridge. That is a county problem. That's not a Cambridge problem. Cambridge does need the mayor instead of just their council, running things at the moment. Yes, I think we should be working directly with them to improve everything as a whole.
Fair enough. Thank you. Mr. Newcomb.
As I said, we had put out the response to the city, and they said they're going to get a couple of council members to meet with us. So we have an open line, but they have not actually set up a definite date and time. But we're sitting here waiting, so we're at their mercy.
Thank you. And Mr. Satterfield.
Having an open door policy and being available is the key to addressing issues for our municipalities. Once we are talking to one another, we understand the needs, then come up with a plan to address those needs. This will reduce redundancy and reduce the spending of taxpayers' funds for everyone involved. We cannot just meet once a year at budget time. Simply put, if we aren't talking, we are not accomplishing much of anything.
Thank you. And please pass the microphone over to Mr. Bramble, please. He is next.
If my memory serves me correct, in the last term that I served, which again was 2002, 2006, there was some problems, no question about that, of then getting the city to and the county, as well as all the Church Creek and all the municipalities, small, large, or whatever, to meet. Sometimes you got to bring the olive branch. You might sometimes have to bring the whole olive tree there, but you can't just stop there, because you've got to have, you can't just necessarily be your separate entity. It's just like being elected to first district or whatever district that other folks are running for. You're elected by that, but you serve the county. And far as the municipalities, Cambridge and all, we're all part of this county. If we don't work together, then we can't move ahead. So if you've got some problems there, or there's personnel problems or whatever, you got to put that off to the side, and you got to go talk to them. And I believe in the last term that I served that we did a pretty good job. I imagine some of us had to grind our teeth a little bit, but we still carried it on, because you got to look for the betterment of the county, not for your own personal benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bramble. Hold on to that microphone, because we're going to let you go first on the next question. Please describe your understanding of the role of parks and recreation and the impact on residents in the county.
Well, I'm right across, my office right across from the county pool. So I don't see much activity in the wintertime, but I'm starting to see a lot of activity now. And most time I go home by way of 16 and by the ballpark, so I see activity there as well. And every once in a while when I go up in the Hurlock area, I see there as well. So my thoughts are on that is that they provide even more, or we need to provide even more indoor and outdoor activities for the county residents. It's a very important function for the youth, especially in today's climate. And you folks ought to know what I'm talking about on that. So we've got to find a place for these young folks to get out, among other ones there, and have a good time and take their mind off of some other things that they shouldn't be doing, for lack of a better word. So that's my thoughts on that.
Thank you, Mr. Bramble. Mr. Kramer, you're next.
I also agree that it's a great thing. Kids need stuff to do. I mean, a lot of us played sports when we were younger. It teaches them discipline. It, teaches several things. Let them burn off the energy. And as Bob said, I think we need to do some stuff more in the wintertime to find, other involvement. That way they're not freezing out on the ball field. Thanks.
Good point. Thank you very much. Mr. Newcomb, you're next.
Yes, the Dorchester County pool now is going through some renovations. We're spending several $1,000s to the pool. Some major repairs had to be done. We're making a lot of repairs there. We bought the old racket club. That's been a big help to the people in the community. Been a good joint venture with the Boys and Girls Club. It's been very, very active. A lot of the school buses drop them off right there, so it's don't even give them a chance to get on the street and misbehave. It's a good program. We're doing some renovations there because it needed some upgrading. And the like Glenn says, the Christ Rock Ballpark, that's used. I mean, all the fields are used, and that's maybe blacktop their parking lot. We just put cross pipes in, so we're updating that. So there's a lot of money being put into park and recreation.
Thank you. Mr. Satterfield, you're next.
Parks and Recreations plays a vital role in the overall health and well-being of our county citizens. The youth programs teach teamwork, self-confidence, and community involvement. Programs for our senior citizens promoting a better life and activities to improve their health. I know members of the Board of Park and Recreation have worked extremely hard over the years to offer programs for our citizens. I support the Parks and Recreation efforts to improve the lives of all of our citizens. We must continue to improve the ability for people to live, work, and play in Dorchester County and be happy. There are issues that we will face that are very difficult, but this is an avenue with the Parks and Recreations that certainly could add to the pleasures that we have, that we experience, and that we deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Satterfield. We're down to our last question, which I think we'll have time for everything, and then we'll move to our closing statements. So we'll let you go first, Mr. Satterfield, since you've got the mic. The question is this. Please tell us about your background, experience, involvement in the community, and what knowledge and strengths you would bring to the county council.
I've lived on Tates Bank Road with my wife Ruthie for the past 35 years with our 4 dogs and 2 cats, all rescues. Quite frankly, we rescued the animals and Ruthie rescued me. I served in the Army as a helicopter crew chief in the Maryland National Guard as a military policeman for a total of 37 years, retiring as a command sergeant major. I talked about this earlier, 1% of soldiers reach CSM. As I stated in my opening remarks, I bring a great deal of county experience to the council, having served the county in various positions and retiring as a warden of the detention center. I worked several years with the American Cancer Society and the jail and bail program. I currently work part-time for the Dorchester County Sheriff's Office as a civil process server. I am an exempt member of Rescue Fire Company, having served 20 years and held the position of president. I served on the Chesapeake Bay Critical Areas Commission. I have served on the board of directors for the Dorchester Emergency Services and as chairman, served on Legit, which is a local government insurance trust board. I currently serve on the board of trustees for Delmarva Community Service. I'm a life member of the VFW and American Legion, and I'm a member of the Cambridge Moose and Elks Lodge. I have served my country, my state, my county, and my community, and I enjoy doing so. I look forward to continuing service as your next county councilman of District 1.
Thank you. And Mr. Bramble gets the next shot at this.
I'll repeat what I said earlier then. I believe being in business for 50+ years, meeting folks from not only from this county, but all over the state and a lot out of the state in my contracting business. Managing, again, president, CEO, doing the taxes, payroll, so forth. Understand the workforce. I believe being a county commissioner from 94 to 98, which was the start. County council again, 2002, 2006. Dorchester County Board of Education for 12 years, which we have term limits. And I will say, I think all elected offices should have term limits. I've said this many times, but this gives me the opportunity here. That being said, Critical Area Commission, which is very critical, May associate member, still am. They invited me to stay on that, so that keeps me abreast on everything that's affecting the schools. And again, Lions Club, 30+ years, giving back to the community. South Dorchester Folk Museum, giving back to the community. The list goes on and on. I've served this county and the community the best that I can, and will continue to, as long as the good Lord gives me the strength. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bramble. Mr. Kramer, please.
I just realized that I am the only one here who has not had this job yet. So I'm going to basically approach it with a business standpoint, and just use common sense. I want to reiterate on my opening statement as far as my involvement with the community, with fire, with EMS, obviously being the rescue diver, one of the local rescue divers. I hope nobody in this room ever needs me. Other than that, if I do get the job, I'm going to go after it like I do any other thing that I've ever pursued in my life, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer. Mr. Newcomb.
Yes, as everyone knows, the last couple of years have been very challenging with the COVID and with employees, the public, quarantine, shortage of employees and sickness. And with the Board of Education, as Glenn well knows, that makes of effort. We give them that money. Kerwin, that's still up in Annapolis. That's going to be handed down to us. That it could be a nightmare what it's going to cost this county. Where the money's going to come from, the state don't know, but they're giving us some more of those unfunded mandates. A highway user fund, they cut that out years ago. They give us a few more thousand this year. But now to Blacktop Road in Dorchester County is a minimum of $160,000 to $175,000 per mile. So that's why we only get a few miles blacktop every year. There was a lot of money we got to help with the businesses. There was a lot of grants, a lot of things to help the county. Every volunteer fire company, we gave them $25,000 due to they could not lack of having fundraisers. So each one got additional $25,000 over and above the appropriations. Some of the board members and I went around in all these little churches. They could not have their Sunday service. We had like 40-some churches. They got $5,000 apiece to at least help pay their insurance and their electric bill to get through the COVID. So that was another $250,000. So it's you talk about the state. Secretary Holt, he calls me. He's doing his city project. He calls me on his cell phone. Treasurer Controller Fran show. And just Friday at 6 o'clock, MDE called me over the issue we got down at Madison. So I don't know where to say that the state don't get hold of people. They call all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newcomb. That was our last question. That concludes our questions. And I understand that some of you approached this last question about background and experience as basically like a closing statement. But if any of you would like to add a closing statement, you're all allotted, each of you is allotted 2 more minutes. So do you want to start, Mr. Newcomb? You've got 2 minutes to emphasize any points you want to emphasize.
Just I've been glad to do this job for 16 years, but I'm going to thank you all for coming. Thank everybody for watching, and just get out and vote in June. I guess you 3 gentlemen will have the big race in June. Then I have
July 19th.
July 19th, and excuse me, July, and then you gentlemen. So that's it. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Satterfield. You're up.
If you were paying attention this evening, I have shuffled through answers that I've worked on for the last few days. The one thing that I did not do was a closing statement for 2 minutes. And the reason I did that is because my feeling is to speak from the heart. My mother is sitting in the room, and I think she would tell me, or she would at least agree with me. Growing up, my father made attempts to teach me a lot of things. And it wasn't until I was much older before I realized that most everything he taught me or tried to was right on the money. The one thing he shared with me that I will share with you: you enter this world with one thing and you depart with one thing. You can have all of the material things, all of the money, cars and property, anything you want to say, but you come in with your name and you leave with your name. And how you're remembered is how you treat other people and the roles that you involve yourself in through life. I've been fortunate to have 2 really great careers. I don't like to not do something. I think my wife, who's also here, will tell you that she's rarely ever left me a honey-do list, because I'm always fiddling with something to try to get done beforehand. I take things seriously. I have raised my hand and taken an oath many, many times in my life. I don't believe that when you raise your hand, you become all-knowing. You have to ask questions. You have to seek out help from others so that we are all successful. That is what I believe, and I think that the citizens of District 1 and all of Dorchester County deserve someone who's willing to say, I don't know, but I'll find out for you, and get that answer back to you in a reasonable amount of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Satterfield. Let's get the microphone down to Mr. Bramble, please. Concluding thoughts.
Well, first of all, make sure you get out and vote, regardless of who you vote for. Make sure you get out and vote, because your vote does count. As far as myself is concerned, some have asked me, why do I still keep going and so forth? Well, I've worked hard my whole life, been active, as I've stated earlier, without going in detail again, with the community, helping my neighbors and so forth. That's my makeup. I cannot become, with all due respect, a couch potato. I'm semi-retard. I'm not retard. I pick and choose what I want to do and when I want to do it. Sometimes it seems a little bit more than what I want, because right now I want to get out on my boat, but I haven't been able to. But I had the time and energy and willingness and love for this county, as well as this country, as far as that goes. And I'm here to serve, and I'm available 24/7. I've always looked out not only just for South Dorchester, but for North and everything in between. You can always reach me. My phone stays on 24/7, right on side the bed. So that being said, I would appreciate your support. I may not be the most qualified, but I think I'm more qualified with my background and willingness and business experience to do this job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bramble. And by the luck of chance or the draw, Mr. Kramer, you got the last word tonight.
I totally understand that. Yes, I'm the new kid on the block here. Basically, I'm not going to reiterate on my experience or anything other than, yes, I do have the county's interests at heart, and I will do the best possible job I can do. other than that, get out and vote next month. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thanks to all of you for some incredibly thoughtful responses to our questions. We covered all the
around on them.
I know. Well, I was trying to sort of keep the flow going, you know.